love those sparkles. They just make me so happy. Welcome, everybody, to New Earth Rising. So happy to be here. I apologize for being late. It's my fault. I had some work happening here in my house, and we got a little bit long, as with all kinds of construction. It wasn't construction, sort of construction, but there's always that one last thing. It's like you're almost to the finish line, and that one last thing that doesn't work. So thank you guys for being patient and for understanding. I am Michelle Ambergy, the Wakener. And we're so happy that you're here. And of course, Sharon and I are so happy that you guys are all here. Hi, Sharon. Thank you for being so patient with me.
Hey, Michelle, of course. Hey, things happen. It's no big deal. So, just go with the flow, right? Right, peeps? Hey, Miss Jules. Hi, Spirit Song. Good to see you
Yay.
again.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello. We are talking about how to receive love today. And it's interesting because we're in the month. Hey, Miss Jules,
Dirty lashes
30
of wet noodle.
lashes with this is what I did. You get 30 lashes. One, two, three.
Don't pull them all out. No, no, we need those.
So we're talking about receiving love. We're in this month of love. We're all talking about love. We're noticing where we are loved, who we love. Sometimes we're noticing when we maybe don't have the love like we would like to have. And sometimes we need to learn to just receive love. We want it and we want to receive it, but a lot of times we block the love that's coming to us. And so we're going to kind of talk about that today, and different ways to receive love and different experiences. And and so we're super happy to be here. Um, and I have a little story about that. And it's actually part of the reason why I'm late is was a very beautiful act of love that helped me out. So I'll share that in a little bit. So Sharon, how are you doing? What's new with you, my darling? I love your love, love, love in the background there.
Yeah, me too. I know I want to use that again for the month of love. Actually, right now I am at the beach here in Ocean Shores at my timeshare with my love in this life, my boyfriend, and we're here for Valentine's week kind of thing. And so enjoying the ocean, enjoying the beach and the quiet and some away time with my little dog.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
That's awesome. And that's in Oregon, right?
it's in Washington.
It's in
Mhm.
Washington.
Washington, yeah. I know, I love it. It's a quiet little town. If anyone hasn't been to Ocean Shores, it's a really nice little quiet little town. Don't tell anybody about it, okay?
Yeah.
And so, we wanna keep it this way.
We want to keep it that way.
And what's so cool is the deer just come up to you, because they're protected here, and they walk right in front of you, unfortunately, on the main street here, which leads down to the jetty. And they're just, feeding on the side of the road. They come up and you can feed them. We fed them apples before and feed them, fruits and vegetables. You're not supposed to feed them, but and I actually hold a goddess retreat every year here in Ocean Shores.
Nice.
And I just want to do a plug for anyone who's in the area that it's a divine feminine goddess retreat here. If anyone is interested to send
When
me
is
a,
it?
it's in October this year.
Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
keep
a lot
it,
of
keep
fun.
plugging it.
Yeah, it's real. It's a small. There's only 15 people that we have in the retreat, but it's a lot of fun. And this is my eighth annual one.
Nice. That's so good. Oh, that's so lovely too, especially to be able to get away and be near the beach and just have
Hmm.
peace and quiet for that kind of a retreat is so beautiful.
Yeah, and
That's
I lead
awesome.
workshops so we can heal the divine feminine and things like that.
Nice.
Sandra, yeah, you're in Portland. I'll send you the info. I'll put you on the list.
Yeah. Yeah, if anybody's interested, get a hold of Sharon and let her
Mhm.
know that's something that you'd like to do. Very fun. Very fun. I've got a cool class coming up since we're plugging. It's called Divination for Self-Awareness. And it's a class, it's this Saturday, from 10 to 1
Nice.
Pacific time. And we're going to learn how to do oracle cards and pendulums and angel board. We're going to learn about altars. We're going to learn about candles, candle colors, numerology, and just how you can use it to connect to the divine flow within you, because that's what divination is. I actually had a couple people are like, "Oh my gosh, Michelle, you're such a spiritual person. What are you doing divination? Isn't that a cult? Isn't that witchcraft?" And I was like, "No, divination means divine connection. It's connecting to the divine within you in all things."
Mhm.
And I was really surprised that I had that kind of a response. So it's divination for self-awareness, connecting into your divine flow.
Nice.
So it's going to
Nice.
be fun, and it's on Zoom. So anybody anywhere can do it. So
Cool.
it'll be super fun. I do have a spirit circle tonight at 6, but it's full. So sorry.
Oh, well, next
So
time,
how's
right?
everybody doing? Shelly's here, Mandy.
Hey, Shelly. Hey, Mandy.
Awesome. Look at how many people we have.
Yeah, can't stop, won't stop.
Super
Good to see you,
fun.
B. Yeah, cool. All right.
Very
So,
good.
to go ahead. I just want to say something before I forget, but go ahead.
Oh,
Oh, go
what I
ahead.
was going to
I,
say, I was going to open it up with my little story from today
yes, yes. Thank you.
that um the reason I'm late is a lot of you guys know that I have some hip and back injuries and I'm actually in a wheelchair right now. It is temporary, but I've been in it for quite some time. And I have one of those adjustable beds. They're like super comfy and everything, but with my injury, it was the bed is really high and it started getting a little bit dangerous. Me getting in and out of bed. And so I've not been sleeping in my bed for almost a year. Been sleeping in my lounge chair, mostly. And it's been convenient, but it's not good, you know? And so I woke up about a week ago in the middle of the night when I had my best revelations and went, "Oh my gosh, we can lower that bed." And I thought, "You can lower a bed?" And my other part of me said, "Yes, I think we can." So, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm looking it up on the internet, and there was a lot of things that said, "Yeah, yeah, you can." And I was looking up the adjustable beds because I have like a really kind of it's I when I bought it, I didn't realize what a fangled crazy thing it was. Um, so I'm looking at it and they said, "Well, maybe you can, maybe you can't." So I had my housekeepers come today who were more friends than housekeepers. And I just asked Ivan, I said, "Do you think we can lower that bed? Is there a way?" And he's like on it because he loves to do projects. And so he hops in there and he looks under the bed and he goes, "Yeah, I think we can." And so we started working on it. Well, whenever you get into projects like that, it always gets crazy. And just out of the love of his heart, he worked on it for like 2 hours. And his wife Erica did too. Worked on it, flipped that thing over, got under there with all the hydraulics and the things that make it the head and the feet parts go up, and I now have a bed that I think I'm going to be able to sleep in for the first time in a year.
Oh, that's
And I'm
awesome.
so excited. And it's just one of those things of receiving the love. And they do these things just out of the love of their hearts. They're the
Mhm.
best people. And another one of those, don't tell anybody because they're my housekeepers.
Right?
And it's just so wonderful. And even sitting in my office right now, I can look across the hallway and I can see my bed sitting there all low, waiting for me to hop in tonight, and I'm so
Ooh,
excited.
that's
And
exciting.
and so receiving that love, receiving that just that kindness and that willingness to jump in and help is just overwhelming, and it's just so beautiful. And the
Mhm.
timing was perfect since that's what we're talking about today.
We
So I
are.
was excited to share that with you guys.
That is exciting, Michelle. I'm really happy for you. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really cool.
nothing like being able to sleep in your own bed, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what Miss Jules just wrote too. Yeah, it's weird. It's just my injury just got so much worse, basically. It's getting better now, but it wasn't then.
Good,
And
good.
it it's so exciting. And it's those incremental things that are headed in the right direction that help
So
so much.
um, maybe with you being able to and receiving that love, with you being able to sleep in your bed now, that will help things move along too?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm feeling
perhaps.
too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, because
Nice.
where I've been sleeping too is the modem is in there, the TV is in there. It's like
Mm,
just EMF city, right?
mhm.
And I do a lot of things to remediate that, but still, it's like the hotbed
But not in a good way.
and not in a good way. So that's gonna be wonderful. So if you guys don't see me for about 3 weeks, I'm sleeping, don't wake me up.
I guess I'm on my own with the show then.
Yep, yep, you're gonna have to take
Beware,
over.
beware. So I wanted to thank you for sharing that. That's amazing, Michelle.
Aw, thank you, hon.
I wanted to share something from the new book or the new to me, the book I'm reading, the Yeshua letters.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about that.
Yeah, in our Mary Magdalene meeting. Yeah, I shared this, and
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through it because it's one of those books where once you read a passage, you're like, you just kind of you have to let it sink in. You have to process it and let it sink in, and then the tears are flowing. Yeah, and so you just feel it, like a Course in Miracles kind of thing in those types of studies. But if anyone hasn't heard of it, it's really good.
And
Apparently,
who was it by? I remember it was a kind of a odd.
JAYEM.
Oh, that's right.
It's his. I'm not sure of his name. Um, he may say it in here. He calls him Mark. Mark. Yeah, his name is Mark. But anyway, Yeshua, Jesus came to him in the 80s,
Mm.
if you don't know about it. I just found out about this. I heard someone talking about it on a Jeff Mara podcast, right? And who had an NDE, and he's talked about it, that it changed his life. So I picked it up, and it's really amazing. But Yeshua just came to him and just started talking to him, not channeling, but talking. He could hear him, and he could see him in his mind's eye and hear him in his mind, a separate voice. so so he resisted it, and I'm getting to the or he resisted all this, and I'm halfway through the book, and he's still resisting it. He looks forward to their meetings, but he still is does it does everything he can to distract himself from thinking about it and going into meditation. And we totally get that, right? And so he talks that's what I just read this morning. And so we have these distractions to keep us from feeling that love, and because it's so intense, maybe, I don't know. But I
Yeah.
wanted to read this passage right here, a part of this passage, which I think is really profound, and maybe if you are okay with this, Michelle,
Yeah.
on page 100. And this is Jesus speaking according to Mark, and I it feels definitely like him. Um, okay. He says, I've appeared, he starts with, now we begin. Know that the vision of me seen in your meditation is quite valid. I have appeared to you now several times, seen in total, for it is not with physical eyes that one sees the essence of what alone is real. To see requires what can be called inner vision, to have developed this to a high degree. Allow me here to share but one thought, one teaching, one lesson. Others may, of course, benefit from this, yet for a teaching to be well received, there is a need for the possibility of reception. True teaching, then, is an art requiring sensitivity to the receptiveness of the student. The thought is this: in all things there will be discovered that which is of the world and that which is of the kingdom. There, whoo, I'm starting to feel it already. These are known in but one way. That which is of the world will demand that you perceive it from ego. There will be felt then an attraction, a need, a desire. Behind this can be discerned a sense of restlessness. When recognized, abandon it.
Mm,
This is the process by which the world is released. By so doing, one automatically discovers that which the kingdom is peace.
yep.
Here, there is the direct knowing that one lacks nothing. Therefore, the world is sustained by choosing the quality of experience given above. The kingdom is revealed when this habit is abandoned. The essence of the thought is this, and you know it well: nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. And I had to wrap my head around that one.
Yeah, totally.
Practice this lesson, and great shifts will occur. Now, I give you peace, not as the world gives. Give I unto you, for I am your final teacher. And the student shall be as the teacher, teaching the kingdom of the Holy Father, helping to deliver yet another from the bondage of self induced blindness.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I
Self-induced blindness.
self induced blindness.
Yep,
And I
it's what
had to
we
wrap my
choose.
head around nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists.
Mhm. Absolutely. That's the
Nothing
whole Matrix
unreal
thing, right?
exists.
Yeah.
What?
It's the
What?
whole Matrix. It's like nothing out there is real.
Nothing unreal. That's a double negative. Because I've got this logical brain. No, okay, that's a double negative, so that makes it a positive. So that means nothing unreal exists. Okay, so it took me a little while to understand that one. I don't even know if I still understand it, but basically, this really spoke to me with allowing and surrender and knowing and receiving. Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
this. I really love that. That's the last passage I read. I've read it 3 times so far. It's a really, really good book if anyone's interested. I highly recommend it. And what you were talking about with receiving, I just want to cover this real quick. Um, Receiving the little things in life. Have you ever known anyone, and I used to be like this, when you give them a compliment, they they have a hard time accepting it, or they push it back, or you give someone you give someone a gift and they push it back, and you want to do
Yeah.
something nice for someone and they don't have a hard time receiving it. They, for whatever, we all have our reasons, that kind of thing. Oh, oh, that's a really pretty dress. Oh, this whole thing. Oh, oh, I only
Yeah.
paid five
Yeah.
bucks for it, or something like that. Yeah. So what I've learned is that starts with our being on the road to being able to receive. Because when someone's complimenting you, and you use your intuition, of course, that it, and we just like, oh, just kind of throw it off. That it robs, what I've learned, it robs that person of paying you that
Yeah.
sincere compliment and telling you, I really like that, or whatever it is, or what you're doing, or or something like that. And also when you give someone and it's a gift is what it is, and when you give someone a gift and they don't accept it, it's robbing them and you, robbing you of the receiving and robbing them of the giving. So it's a big step I learned to being open to receiving love, receiving
Yeah.
gifts, being in that receiving mode.
And it's a like you're saying, it's a blessing for everyone. I had someone in my life a few years ago who was so good to me. She was helping me with things. My birthday was during when we were friends, and she brought me like flowers and beautiful gifts. I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm not really in a position to get out and buy gifts and that kind of stuff. I could do like a Amazon thing, but I couldn't really do anything. But we were going to see a healer. She was taking me to see a healer, and she was saying how she wanted to see the healer too. And so I paid for sessions for her, and she got so upset with me that she didn't want to be friends anymore. And
Mm.
it was heartbreaking. And I was like, "What? I don't understand what happened." And she said, um, "I'm your friend." And I said, "Well, can I be your friend too?" And then she never spoke to me again. And it was such an odd exchange, and at first I took it personal, right? It hurt. It was like, "Oh my gosh, you've done so much for me. I wanna do something for you," and I get like this pushback, like what you're talking about, right? But we have to understand that the person that pushes back, there's something going on, there's some pain that they're pushing back from too. But, in that instance, there was a nice friendship that ended because someone couldn't receive.
Yeah,
And because anytime anyone does something nice for you, truly of their heart, right? It's love. It's love. And
right.
you're allowed to have discernment too. Are people who give to manipulate. You're allowed to be discerning, but it's so important to receive because it's a blessing for everyone. And
Yeah. Yeah,
and
and that leads us.
Sandra,
Go ahead.
I'm going to answer Sandra real quick. She's saying, "What is the name of the book?" And it's called Jesus Messages, Jesus Letters.
The Yeshua letters. The
What
Yeshua
Sharon
letters,
said,
Yeshua letters,
ignore
yeah.
me. What Sharon said.
The Yeshua letters, Yeshua letters. Can you see it?
Yeshua letters.
Yeshua
I think I
letters.
should write that down.
Yeah. And writing this book led the way to the Way of Mastery, which is a thicker book, which I can't wait to start that one. I got that one too. The Way of Mastery.
Even more.
Mhm.
You were quite the connoisseur of books, young lady. Every
Well,
time I talk to you, you're reading a new book.
I love to read. I love to
Mm,
learn. I'm just
mm,
love it, love it, love it. Yeah,
so
especially when it
good.
has something to do with it, you know who.
So
um,
good. So good.
love is a two-way street for sure. Yes, totally it is. Definitely. Yeah, and that leads our way, the way to receiving love in not just a romantic relationship, but in divine love.
Everything, yeah.
Because I can attest to the fact that after my NDE, when I came down here to Ego Land, right, I did not feel worthy
Yeah.
of, of Yeshua's love, Yeshua working with me, of Yeshua, that teachings and everything like that, of being um, someone that, like, why me? Why would he want to, why me? I didn't even really, I never talked to him throughout my life, that kind of thing. And I realized, yes, I had, but you just forget those things. And so, when you're there, we don't have those hangups. When I was with him there in my NDE, I didn't have that hang up. I was like, oh, I missed him. I realized how much I missed him. But
Yeah.
down here in Ego Land, it's different. So we have to work through that.
Yeah. And it's interesting too because there's so many gifts from the spirit, and that our guides and angels and the masters and our own divine self want to give us.
Right.
And we say no in so many different ways too. We say no, and a big huge one is like what you just said, Sharon, where it's like, I'm not worthy. I ran away from the angels for years because I was like, that can't possibly be an angel. Can't possibly be an angel. Why would an angel talk to me, right? could it be Jesus talking to me? Even though I spent a lot of my life madly in love with him, but
Mhm.
he would never speak to me. And it's so interesting how we put that whoop right up in front, even though it's what our heart desires the most.
It's funny, as children, it's normal. We don't have those
Yeah,
hang-ups as children. What we're talking to Jesus, we're talking to angels, we're talking to invisible people or, we don't
clouds.
clouds, ghosts, whatever, spirit, as long as we have support in that, right? We're not afraid of it. It's just normal for us and paying attention to our dreams and things like that. But as soon as we get older and we get away from the memory of of home,
Yeah,
and we're so ego land, and we're so focused on the outside, the projection of the matrix,
yeah,
we forget
yeah.
and
And
all
that
the
usually happens
for
around
love.
6, 7 when we start getting kind of indoctrinated into school. We really start getting programmed as to what is real and what is not real. The imagination isn't real.
Yeah,
I remember that broke my heart. I was like, "What? That's not real?" And the shame that kinda went with it and all that. But yeah, yeah, and we lose that, and it's an innocence, right? It's an innocence, it's a purity.
it is, and it's an awareness that
Yeah.
we are, we're not less than, we are worthy. Totally. And I remember my first NDE when I was 9, where yeah, Jesus met me, Yeshua met me. It wasn't such a I'm not gonna say it wasn't a big deal. It was, of course, but it wasn't like in 2001 where I'm like,
Whoa.
I missed him so badly. When I was
Yeah,
9, I had just been, I was not long from home like I, was in my 40s in 2001. So it's like that's because we're newer.
it's so I just heard, oh my gosh, I don't know who it was that just said that when you were saying, "But when I got to 40," and I heard the term, "Yeah, and you'd lost a lot of tread off your tires by then."
Okay.
What the hell was
Well, it
that?
was tires that ran over my head, so that's funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
It was a
it
male voice that said it. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
that's hilarious. So an NDE, Hillary, is a near-death experience. Yes.
Mm.
Uh, that is funny that you would hear that. Okay, that is. You lost a lot of tread off your tires. Ooh, I just felt an energy shift. That's funny. Remember my head well, you of course you but, I remember it. A tire ran over my head, so that's why it
That
popped out
is
of my body, but,
crazy.
yeah.
That is absolutely crazy, and that and it's amazing how spirit brings us to these experiences too, you know? I mean, my god, that you're even talking about it without just like, "Oh," amazes me.
Well, it's been 20 something years,
Yeah.
20, 22 years, so, yeah, it's, easier to talk about, and they were joking kinda joking with me in the hospital that I had tire tracks on my head because my hair was falling out. They had to glue one of my ears together because it was all messed up and fallen apart, had
Wow.
fallen apart, but,
Oh, honey.
it was
That's crazy.
That's right. It is, yeah,
The
it will change
blessings
the
that
world.
came with it. And thank
Mhm,
God that you received those blessings. Again, we're back to receiving the love. As traumatic as that was, it was an experience that brought you to love and you received it. You received the message, you received the experience in a loving manner. And thank God, because you might not be here with us.
mhm. Yes, yes. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth, that's so sweet, yes. She said, "I'm glad you're okay." So am I.
She's got a really hard head.
I
I can
that
attest
was
to
the
that.
joke. That is the joke. Definitely. Just proves how hard-headed I can be.
Those are the survivors in this world.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And it's funny, it's kinda like at the end of the world, it's just gonna be all Virgos left here because we are the hardest headed of
Virgos and
all.
cockroaches and
Virgos and
Sharon.
cockroaches. Ooh, that sounds like a good T-shirt.
That's a name. That's a good name for a I know, or a band, a rock band. Virgos and
The
cockroaches.
apocalypse. Virgos and cockroaches. Oh my gosh.
What's this? My mother was a primary school teacher, and even she said it was so sad that as children enter school at 5, that's the end of their freedom. Yeah. Aw, she loved
Yeah.
kids so much. I miss her. Aw, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's time
it's,
time for us to make that free schooling thing happen. In Japan, the kids, they sit outside and do school. They sit under the trees, they sit in the grass.
mhm.
They participate with everything. It's not about learning, learning, learning. And I know there's so many people because I'm in Southern California, so I'm down here with the nuts and fruit. What they got the fruits and nuts, and kind of the hippies that have fled LA. And a lot of the people down here, there's a lot of these little like the Montessori schools, and even people that are doing homeschooling because they just don't want their kids in that indoctrination. They want their children to learn all of the aspects of life as well as reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah.
And their kids flourish. It's so amazing.
I have memory. Memory, maybe it's a, um, maybe it's just another timeline for me, parallel reality, I don't know, but, and I'm sure we all have these memories of being in higher dimensional 5D, I guess, where we're moving going to. Could be a future memory. I mean, how can we even tell anymore, right?
I know,
Of
it's all
of that
blending.
yeah, and that could be Atlantis, could be Lemuria, I don't know, or future, because 'cause we're coming full circle full circle, of it having that type of education with kids is
Mhm,
sitting outside and sitting in a
mhm,
circle and in nature and, being, and teaching the children real real
yeah,
stuff, not indoctrination, but actually real stuff, and um, how to be, a really empowered person.
empowered and someone who contributes. And I remember in Atlantis too, is with when the children, everybody participated in teaching, right?
Yes, yeah.
Everybody had skills and gifts, and they would come in and they would learn, and people would come in and play the guitars and this weird instrument,
Oh,
string kind of
yeah.
guitar like instrument that they had. I never did get the name for it, and winds and would play the air. There was a man in one of my remembrances that he would go like this and he would play the air, and
Wow.
the air would make music. It
Oh,
was
wow.
amazing, and everybody participated in taking care of the children.
Wow. That's that's so amazing. I have a memory of, and I believe it's Atlantis, at least in the beginning of it, where there was a woman. I think I did a session for her, but she was a healer in this life, and and I saw her in Atlantis, and she actually played her chakras. Her chakras were instruments, and she was able to
Ooh.
play them, and they each made a certain sound. It was
Ooh.
really cool.
Wow.
Like what you were saying about the man playing the air, and that's what reminded me of her is,
Ooh,
because her
yeah.
chakras are vibrating at a certain frequency. So
Makes
she was
sense.
able to make music musical notes with it and create, music,
Lots
sound,
of music.
songs.
And guess what? It's 4:44 right now, just as you're talking about this. I love it.
Of course,
I
yes.
love it. Cool. Yeah, Elizabeth is saying unschooling.
Yes.
Yep, unschooling. I know I've got a 9-year-old granddaughter, and I just keep going, just let her come live with me, please. And my daughter's not quite yet ready to allow that to happen, but I do everything I can to teach her the other things, the spiritual things when I do have her with me.
Right, right, and I totally believe we're moving into that, um, era. Yeah, we're
Oh, cool. Spirit Song is saying I was watching my cat's purrs the other day.
Oh,
That's cool.
mm.
That's way cool. Hillary's going 6:44 for me. You should have caught you 2 hours earlier.
What a great
Uh,
Nana. Totally. Yeah, with receiving, there's a little story I also wanted to tell. In order to receive, we've talked about this over and over and over again, Michelle. Uh, it's we have to move through blocks, right, that keep us from receiving. Okay. Um, okay, I remembered another story. Okay, when I was working with Shua, right, he would tell me, and I've shared here before that I first started talking to him after I came back to Ego Land and I started remembering things after my mother passed, and I talked to her on an angel board. She brought Yeshua in. But she didn't tell me who he was. She just said that I have a guide here for you. I have someone here who wants to work with you, wants to I want you to reacquaint yourself with him, blah blah blah. And and I'm like, I felt the intense energy, the really strong energy of him, who I didn't realize who was. And my mom, as I'm communicating with her on a spirit board, which is crazy. But hey, I missed her. And it worked. And so we were communicating just like we were talking now. And I, she called him, I asked her, is he an ascended master? I just started learning about ascended masters and things like that. So I said, "Is he an ascended master?" And she said, "He's top shelf."
Oh, that's
So
cute.
I know, right? So finally, after a few days, because I just felt this unworthiness with this energy here, so I would, instead of talking to him, I ask her questions about him. Finally, I said, "Okay, okay, mom." And I didn't want to let go of mom either, because this is my way of connecting with her, and I really, really missed her. Um, so I said, "Okay, mom." So she moved out. I felt her just big shift. She moved out, and he moved in. I felt his energy move in.
Mm,
I felt the most intense, unconditional, pure unconditional love. I started, and I recognized it, but I started tearing up right away. And the tearing up turned to sobs.
yeah.
Yeah. And I still didn't know who he was. And he knows exactly what we need and what we can handle. And we just started having conversations, and he was teaching me there. I'd come sit out in the backyard every day after work and sit with my angel board and talk to him. And there was a time when he was start asking me, "Are you sure?" And I'd say, "Am I sure what?" He'd say, "Listen." And I could hear that I was apologizing all the time. My
Mm,
background tape was apologizing for everything. I was just saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." So you might notice that you or people, and he gave me something to actually replace it, a mantra to replace it. It was my mantra. Um, Apologize a lot. There are people that apologize a lot, and it seems to, the feminine, the women seem to do it quite a bit more than men. And whatever that means, I don't know, but that's what I notice. And so he helped me realize that I was apologizing because I felt whatever I had going on with me, my history and stuff like that. Felt like I failed my mission. I'd been here so freaking long, and it's like I failed. I'm a failure, that kind of thing. So that was one thing that I felt. But he gave me a mantra to replace it with so that I could open up and be receiving. And it was infinity. Um, and whenever I'd use that mantra, and I still use it quite a bit, I could just feel the expansion in my energy field and in my mind. I could feel that expansion because when you can feel when you're using words or phrases, and we've talked about this,
Mhm.
how you you can feel how they affect you, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, it just kind of contracts your energy field with the intent of that behind it, of course. But in infinity, as I would say that, I could just feel the expansion, and that helped me move forward in being open to his teachings, his love, his presence in my life.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can feel that when you're in his presence too, when you feel him close by. You
Mhm.
can feel that infinity. That's such a wonderful um, presence because that's part of, when you have that connection with the Christ energy with Yeshua
Mhm.
or Yeshua or Jeshua or Jesus or Emmanuel, he goes by so many names. Um, Christ, so many people just begin to cry because it's that presence of love that is so permeating and so ancient and so wise and so beautiful. And it's our true essence. It's who we truly are. And it reminds us of who we truly are. And
Right.
it's just the tears just come because we remember for that one moment or maybe those next moments or maybe for the rest of our lives how beautiful we are and how beautiful everything is. And it's so cool
It's
because I can never
recognition. Mhm.
mhm, and
Yeah.
I can never come into the presence of Jesus without just crying,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And the I was talking to him a couple of nights ago, and he just said, "Why do you cry?" And I just said, "I'm so happy," and he just started laughing, like just that wonderful laugh that he has. And he just smiled at me, just like, "That's so wonderful." Like, he was just so delighted in the answer. And it's so beautiful when that love is there like that.
Yeah.
And it's really what the world is calling for now. It's really what we're all hoping for, what we're all striving for. All of the things that we do, all of the wounds and the struggles and everything, ultimately, what we're aiming for is that love. And if we can begin to recognize where we're struggling, that's a good indication of where a block is. And recognizing it is 80% of the journey of
Right.
getting rid of it, and just allowing yourself to release.
Right. Yeah. It's recognition, and he's always told me awareness is the key, right?
Mhm.
And so he helped me with that, and that was huge for me. That was huge.
And CE, the mantra is infinity.
Yes.
Just very, very simple.
The mantra, yes, he helped me with it. He asked me to replace. It was replacing the old mantra. So you can use whatever mantra you want that is expanding and you feel good with, that
Mhm.
type of thing. It was infinity. Yeah.
Yeah.
And excuse me.
And the word love is another great one to use as a mantra. When I do mantras, I do I am, and
Yeah,
then
I
what
am love.
I am
It's
love,
good.
I am infinity, I am that I am that I am that I am.
I am infinite. I am
I
love.
am
I am light. I
infinite.
am infinite.
Yes.
Yeah, I am eternal. I was uh, I was in a meditation. I was actually repeating those mantras, and I kept the expansion just went, whoo, just
So
further
good.
out, further out, further out, further out. And I was actually are moving rather in, further in, further in, further in, where the expansion is, not out here, but in here.
Yeah.
And I was moving in, and as I was repeating these mantras, I go further in, and it got to I am the universe, I am the galaxy, or I'm the galaxy, I'm the universe, and as I was going further in, I started vibrating and feeling kind of anxious.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Woo, that's a little too far." in too high right now, and I had to slowly pull
Yeah,
myself out, back
yeah,
out, yeah, to the ego land. But it was pretty intense. Yeah.
yeah. It was when I did my plant medicine journey a couple years ago. It was so amazing because you do the inner outer experience, right? That you're going in, but you're going out, but in and out the same time. It's so cool. And at that just massively expanded state, you hear that voice. You are the creator and you are the creation. And it was just like whoosh, whoosh. It was like, whoa. And it has stuck for so long. And a lot of times when I get in those spaces where I'm feeling so limited, I am creation. I am the creator. I am creation. And it just kind of it brings me and grounds me in to that flow again because it's not about I am the creator, but it's
I
we
am.
are the creator.
I am that I
And
am.
it's so, yeah. And again, it's receiving that, right? It's allowing yourself to receive that truth about yourself. And we're all expanding consciously so fast right now, that we're even sitting here talking about this. Even 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, we wouldn't really be having these conversations, especially here on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Well,
amazing.
I think we've come a long way for sure in the past 10 years. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, with because we can't even see how our thoughts and our what we affirm, what we repeat, what it does to our energy field.
Yeah.
And I have one of those back things where you hang upside down,
Oh,
right?
yeah, like
For
inversion
my
table.
inversion table. Thank you. Oh, and, to help my back because of when I fell off the bus and got run over by a trailer in 2001. So so I have back stuff I need to maintain, that kind of thing, and neck, back and neck, and so, it's out on the deck and a covered deck, and so when I hang upside down, I look up at the sky. And the other day, I was looking and it was, overcast sky. I can see, and I've seen this before, but it was really cool to play with it. I can see these little when I pull my vision in, I can see these little my cells moving around in my vision, in my
Ooh,
eyes. I can see them moving around. Those the little, little
I love
cells
that.
of my eyes. And so I played with, I noticed what it was. When, when I hang upside down, my dog likes to come and, get pet by me and rub all over my head and stuff.
Lick your
And so
face.
yeah, really. So as I was petting her, I noticed that the little cells were lighting up.
Ooh, I love that.
They were moving faster and faster and lighting up as I was
Yep,
petting her.
yep,
I'm like, "Whoa, that's so cool." And so I started working with my thoughts and to see how they reacted to my
mhm,
thoughts. And I would say something that was kind of neutral or, or maybe that would slow them down. And I saw them slow down, their light would dim a little bit. And then I'd think something that was
yeah,
positive. I can't remember what exactly I said, but I'd see them light up again and move faster. The more positive my thoughts, the faster they would move and the more light.
yeah. Because that's that whole frequency thing. It's, David Hawkins has the consciousness chart, right? It's all about
Right.
frequency. It's all about
Yes.
how rapid and more rapid something vibrates, the more light it's able to contain. And it's so
Yes.
cool. That's why it's so important that we watch our words. So important that we watch the words that we receive too,
And our
you
thoughts
know?
and what we're
Yep,
telling ourselves. Because that's what I learned as I was telling myself, you know, that I had failed. I had
yep,
failed on some level. I was
yeah,
apologizing for me, apologizing, for life and that kind of thing, for myself, my soul, that type of thing. So it was ridiculous. And it really is. And when you think about it, um, why can't we see ourselves the way they see us, the way God source sees us? And
Yeah.
they taught me that they see us as these amazing beings, amazing light beings, which we are. But I wanted to share one thing that I learned: how to clear blocks. Okay.
Nice.
Now we know in our body. Now we know, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do it. We do it through past life retrieval and healing and those types of things too. Um, but when they were working with me 20 years ago, they had they had a lot to work with. Let me tell you. So what I was doing, and I did everything they guided me to do. I was out in the backyard, and I could hear who I recognized as Sananda. I could hear his voice in my head as a separate voice, not my voice, but a separate male voice. And he guided me to work with the mother tree. I could hear the trees
Ooh, I
talking.
love the
Yeah,
trees.
I could hear them. Um, I worked with the mother tree in my backyard. I could her voice sound was different than her children and the father tree, which was in the neighbor's yard. Yeah, it was really cool. So she was communicating with me, and I worked with the mother tree. I lay out my hammock out in the backyard. This is in Texas, and Sananda would guide me to different areas of my body, uh, to my fingers, to my knee, to my ankle, to my toes, and he would guide me, and he'd tell me to go within and look to see where there was a blockage. He'd say, "Okay, we've got one here. We've got one, um, in your arch of your foot or something like that." And so I would work with the mother tree and ask the mother tree to send me energy. And I would imagine she's sending me energy through the ground up
It's how
to my
trees work
body.
too.
Mhm. Through the
Yeah.
ground, and I could see the light energy in my mind's eye, and she would send it to that area that he was guiding me to. And so together we would visualize sending
Mm,
that blockage breaking up energetically, and imagine it being released through my pores and being released to the universe, and basically transmuted into light. But she would work with me. I'd guide her, and we'd work together to where on
mm,
my body um, that blockage needed to be
yeah. And
broken
that's a
apart.
lot of, yeah, even when you do the tree hugging and go barefoot,
Hmm.
that's really what's happening,
Hmm.
are the electromagnetic blockages that we get from not being connected to nature that much. It happens automatically. That's how trees communicate with each other and heal and help and nurture and bring even nutrients to each other, fungi too. So that's
Yes.
beautiful that he was showing you. It's almost like you were working with the trees as a tree.
Yes, and I'd sit on the ground too, and with my back up against her sometimes, definitely, or lay on the ground, which would work definitely. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was amazing, and to have that experience with him talking to me in my mind, guiding me, and feeling and hearing the mother tree sending that energy, and seeing it in my mind's eye was really profound.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Love the trees. I was so bummed when the tree in the front of my house got, I don't know what happened to it, but we had to take it out. And I don't have like a tree in my yard anymore. And so I sit out and talk to the bushes. And it was interesting because I used to have a little bit of disappointment. Like, oh, I really want a tree, but I'll talk to the bushes. And one time I was out there and hanging out, and all of a sudden all the bushes just started, and all of a sudden I had this thought in my head: we're small, but we're many. And I realized these little trees were actually ficus trees that had been being trimmed and stuff, and there were like 6 of them. And I'm sitting there going, "No, I don't have a real tree." And it was just this very light shimmer, just like a shimmy. And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," and it was like, "We're small, but we're many." So you can get that with anything, you can any kind of nature. And the trees are so beautiful to work with.
Nature is very healing. We just don't use it enough for sure. Yeah, and I would suggest anyone who has trees, you might wanna go out and connect and see, who your mother tree is, if your mother tree is around, get a feeling
Give
for it
them
if
a
you
hug.
haven't. Yeah. Um,
Give them a hug. And
yes,
my teaching
they're
is
very
every
healing.
tree is a mother with
Excuse
the
me,
Native
Michelle.
American teaching.
I need
Huh?
to help my dog real quick. She's having
Okay.
a okay, I'll be right back.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll entertain the masses. I'll sing. I think I'll sing. Do 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 do. You guys know this one? Do 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 do. Tequila. Do, 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 do. Did I get it right? So, you guys, this is so fun having a chit chat with you and talking about love and receiving love. It's really important that we are mindful of that because we have to be in that balance. We have to be in that cycle of giving and receiving and giving and receiving. And that's with everything. That's with energy of any sort. In order for us to perpetuate, to perpetrate, to continue anything, there has to be give and take and give and take. And so being mindful of that is so funny. Oh no, Miss Jules, we're busted. Sharon's back. She's going to find out what song I was singing. Whoop, you're muted, babe.
I am, aren't I? Let me guess. Was it Motley Crue?
No, but that would have been the next good one that I should have done. Yeah,
Tequila.
Elizabeth and Miss Jules told on me in the
Oh,
chat.
tequila. Oh gosh, I remember that song. Okay.
Yeah, love is the way. That's right, Elizabeth. Love is the only way. And, we were told that. That's what Yeshua told us. He was like, one thing I tell you, love one another. It's the one thing. That's it. And he modeled that everywhere he went. Even when he had to be stern, even when he had to be strong, even when he got so upset about the money changers and the animals up for sacrifice on the temple steps. It was because of his love that he got so upset. It was a outpouring of love for the Father, and for God. And we have to always be mindful of where we're coming from, where our energy is coming from, what are we doing, and why are we doing it? Are we coming from love? And you will find that as you give more pure love comes to you too. And so that's why it's so important for us to be mindful of what is flowing out from us, because we've all been in that egoic love that tends to be a little bit, I want something from you. There's a little bit of manipulation in that ego love, right? And we all do it. We all do it. All of us do it all the time. But being mindful and moving from that is so important right now as we're awakening. That's what the awakening is about, is we're waking up to realities. We're coming out of the programming. We're coming out of the matrix. And it's so beautiful when you can all of a sudden go, I just did that, and that didn't feel quite right. Where was I coming from in that?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I kind of wanted this from that person. How can I get that better? Maybe I can just ask for it. Give me your car keys instead of, "Ooh, I love your car." But you know what I mean? It's like we can start shifting and changing. And as we awaken, we come more and more from that love, and you'll find yourself, as you realize you're coming from love, and that your love that you're pouring forth is truly loving. It just becomes this great, beautiful exchange and energy exchange, and it just makes life so fun to live. It
Yeah,
just
and it
really
also
does.
it does, and what we have going on within us is what we're projecting to the world, and as we know, another key is gratitude, being grateful for, the challenges too, for everything. I mean, it's easy to feel grateful for the good stuff,
Yeah.
right? But when we that's easy.
It's
That's a
like, I don't
no-brainer.
wanna be grateful for the others.
I know, right? So being grateful, I've learned being grateful for the opportunities or the challenges as an opportunity, and it helps us learn and helps us grow. And anything that that will help us move forward is is what we need to be we need to be grateful for it, for pretty much
Yeah,
everything. And I find that when I sit down and think about or write down or journal, what I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful I have a meal on my table, something on my table, a meal on my table. Grateful for the love around me or whatever it is, even if it's things, it's usually always things that we take for granted that we don't think about. I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm breathing, right?
yeah,
I'm healthy, whatever it is. That's expansive too. That expands your energy field, and that expands your mind, and that brings in more of the like, more of the same. I mean, it's law of attraction 101, isn't it?
yeah,
So then we're bringing in all that, and that opens us up to receiving more love, more things that we have to be grateful
yeah,
for. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because love and gratitude tend to go hand in hand a lot too.
Yeah, they're the
You
two
know, if
highest
you're
frequencies.
being
Yeah.
grateful, it's a very loving place to be.
Yeah. Love
And
you
don't
too,
forget
Spirit
to
Song.
subscribe. Speaking
Don't
of being
forget to
loving, don't forget to subscribe
and give us a thumbs up, if
and
you
give
like
us
the
one of them
show.
thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I've been trying to learn how to get YouTube to be something, a little bit more. And I watch all these people do these things.
No, yeah, totally.
And I feel like such a knucklehead when I'm
I'm
doing
real
them.
bad about that kind of stuff. I don't think about it.
That's
So I'm
right. I
glad
figured
that
while
you're
you're talking, I'll do moderator.
I'm not a good marketing person.
I'm learning.
It's
I've paid people for it, and it never seems to get me very far. And I'm like, okay, fine, fine, I'll learn it myself.
yeah.
So
So,
good.
another thing I wanted to mention too, if unless you have something, Michelle, you want to dive into.
No, no, I just want to go to bed. I've got my new lowered bed that I can sleep in. I just don't give a crap about anything right now. It's all good.
Okay, we only got a
I
few more
can see
minutes.
it. It's right
You have
there.
to stay here with us for a few more minutes. I don't blame you though. Totally. Um, yes, Elizabeth says we've got so much to be grateful for. Our blessings always outnumber our challenges. Yeah, totally. That's a good mindset for sure. Um, oh yes, okay. I almost forgot what I wanted to share. So we talk about Jesus here a lot because we're we're in love with him, and we he's helped us so much, that kind of thing. But that doesn't have to be he doesn't have to be your go-to person,
Mm-mm,
right? It's all kinds of ways of connecting to the divine. And that's what I see is connecting to the divine, which
mhm,
is pure love. That was another thing that he taught me because he asked me on the board, or helped me remember. I always see it as remembering. Um, uh, is that he asked me, okay, who do you, what do you, give me your definition of God in one of our conversations, because he was teaching me on the board. He was teaching me, and then I went to and then he taught me how to meditate. And he said, I want you to be in meditation too, um, moving me along, right, slowly but surely. I said, okay, what's your idea of God? Who do you think is God? And I give him the answer. Well, God is everything. God is, in everything. God is everything. God is this. God is that. God is everything, kind of thing. And he goes, okay, and he goes, yes, and I said, okay. Well, God is. and I don't even remember what I said, but it took a couple of days, and he just kept saying, "And," okay? And after we finished talking, we'd come back. If I hadn't gotten the answer right or correct, we'd come back to the same question, the same lesson, as if no time had passed. Same lesson, continuing with our lesson, right? Say, "Okay, what is God?" And it hit me. I think it took a couple days, 3 days maybe, or a couple days. God is love. And he's like, bingo. Then we were through with that lesson.
And
He
it
was
is, and
on to
it's
something else.
God is found everywhere and everything, it can be in a child, in a tree, in a cat's purr. Spirit Song was talking about watching the cat's purr, and it can be everywhere. Anywhere you feel that energy, that God is.
And,
And God is
and,
in you and God is in me.
and,
And it's love.
and God is love. That was
And
when he
I
said,
am love.
"Okay, that's it. You passed.
Yeah.
You've learned that lesson.
Gold sticker
You
for the day.
remembered. You remembered." Yeah.
And that's so important. And then it's so important to continue to remind yourself every moment of every day, because that really is what that saying, I'm the way, the truth, and the light, or life. Different people say it different ways, but that's what he meant.
Mhm.
He didn't mean you have to worship me to get to God.
Mhm. Right.
It was that knowing love and being love and being connected to that God love, unconditional, agape, eternal loving presence, whatever
Right.
word we use for it. But
Yeah.
it's everywhere. It's finding it.
And he said, "I am.
I am.
I am.
That is my mantra. That's what I
I
use.
am the
I
way."
am.
And
I
I
am
believe he
the
was talking
way,
about the I am presence.
truth.
He was
Yeah.
talking about the I am presence with
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
In a
Absolutely.
meditation, yeah, totally. And in a meditation, I was deep in meditation. I may have shared this before, but I want to share it again since we're talking about I am. Uh, and I was really, really deep, just in quiet, and I hear this resounding voice. I hear a voice and it's resounding, and I can't tell if it's male or female, or it doesn't. It's just a voice. It's not. It does has no gender. It's just a voice that says, "I am."
Mm,
So that was the divine's voice. There was no gender. It was just a divine's voice. I had reached that point in my meditation of I am. That's all I heard was I am,
mhm,
and it was just this fullness and depth that I can't
mhm,
describe that I had reached. I don't know if I've ever been able to get that deep since, but
mhm.
it was super deep when I heard that. Yeah.
And it's experiences like that why we keep meditating.
Yeah.
It keeps us going back. Elizabeth asks a really interesting question. Why do you suppose this life makes it so challenging to live as though God is love? This life doesn't make it challenging. You do. Because we're experiencing separation. It's part of the experience. This is my understanding. God wanted to experience separation from itself. So we are that experience. But also, everything must expand and contract. And so it has expanded, that experience has expanded out as far. And now it is contracting back. So we're on our way back to God. And that's why we're having this whole revelations, this apocalypse, this awakening, whatever word we have here. We're remembering who we are on this contraction, on this way back to God. And that's one way. That's one way to explain that. There's many different ways, but we're the obstacles. Nothing out there. It's not out there. It's us. And it's really simply just saying, I am God. Oh, how many of us have been burned at the stake for that? Past lives, right? How many times have we been beat and prosecuted and drawn and quartered, even thinking, because that is the devil, right? And yet it's the truth. It's not the devil, it's the truth. We are God right here.
Right. Yeah, I believe that what I understand at this moment in time could be different tomorrow, or 5 minutes from now, is that we the experience of duality and where we are actually we're not separate from God, never were, never are. Um, but the ego makes us think that we are separate. And and like you were talking about, Michelle, that feeling of separation when we fall down into this dense realm, we decided to experience the experience of duality because we were one, because we are one. We all are one. There is no separation. But we forgot that when we fall down into this dense reality, it feels like we're separate. The ego makes us think that we're separate. It feels like we're separate. So as we move up in frequency and as we wake up from this dream, that's when we realize we never were separate. We never have been separate. We've always been
Mhm. It's always
one.
been us.
We've
Yeah.
always been one, and we're dreaming. We're dreaming this experience. It's just a really persistent dream, really persistent dream. So yeah, that's where I understand. And when we realize that we are all one, it makes things it it actually feels and looks a lot different
Mm.
than what we've been taught.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It's amazing how many mental gymnastics I've had to do to unwind some of the teachings, and I've always been pretty broad-minded anyways, and to I tend to I always want to like look at both sides of the story. My birthday's really close to Libra, and I have that wonderful Libra thing where it's like I want to look at this side, I want to look at this side. Oh, look at that! And oh man, as we're getting more and more into this awakening thing and understanding just concepts, truth or not truth, just concepts of our existence. That it is a hologram out there. Nothing is real. It's all just a projection of our inner space. It's all just a projection of God having experiences to experience itself, ourself, myself, right? It's like all of a sudden it's like we don't even have the language for it, and it's so exciting and fun when you can kind of let go of the right or wrong and the outcome and just be like, "Whoa, check this out." I get myself in those states not even, I don't even need drugs. It's like I just kinda let my mind just start wandering through the concepts, and it's like, "Oh my god." That's why I don't have time to read books, because 'cause I'm just like, living in this mental state of whatever. It's
We
so fun.
don't need drugs. When I was, when you meditate and
Mm-mm.
you go within, you don't need drugs. Yeah, totally.
No.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, I used to, be a Mary J smoker, because of pain, and I found it was very expansive, and then a couple of years ago, it was just like, "I don't want this anymore." And the expansiveness and the ability to expand mind and heart and soul and to understand has grown exponentially from moving out of it. It, like, helped to a certain point, and then it was time to move beyond it. Oop, you're muted again.
sorry, I was having another conversation. My dog is having a little
Is
bit
she
of a fit.
okay?
Yes, she's very bossy though. If I don't
Is
pay
she
attention
calling
to
you
her,
on the phone?
she is. Yes, she has her own phone. Okay, okay, that's how spoiled she is.
I'm sorry, I am on the TV right now, dog.
She,
That is so
it's a
cute.
little tiny flip phone though.
Just
Carrie's here.
puppy style, puppy style. Oh my
She's
god,
not
that's
allowed
so
to have a
cute.
smartphone.
No way, she'll use up all your data on all those funny kitten
Those cat
videos.
videos and squirrel videos. Yeah, chasing the squirrel. I know. Okay, she's taken care of. I was trying to call my boyfriend in the other room to come take care of her. Uh,
That was funny. That
yeah.
was good.
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
Wow, Groundhog Day. Sandra. Nice, very good. Thank you guys all for being here.
Yeah, totally. It's
Okay.
it's good stuff, and going back, I think, kind of full circle, right? To opening up to being receiving of love. It starts with the little things,
Yeah,
receiving of compliments, receiving of gifts, receiving of the little things in life, feeling grateful for the little things in life, remembering the little things in life, remembering that God is love. That's who we are. That's who we are, and that's who we're meant to be, right? And love is in everything, everywhere. Um, and we are fractals of God. God is light,
yeah,
God is love. We are fractals in this embodiment, and we are projecting this embodiment, projecting it. And so it's when we're in it's hard to recognize that.
yeah,
It's kind of like being the players in a movie.
yeah.
You sometimes you get caught up in your role. You forget that you're acting in a play or in a movie or something like that. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what we're doing
That's like that saying, "You can't see the forest for the
for the
trees."
trees.
You can't
Yeah.
even tell you're in a forest because of the trees. And it is, and that's part of the experience. It's part of the whole experience, of feeling separation, even though we're never separated from that divine source. And no one is, even no matter how separated they may appear to be. And that's something we need to remember too. That's part of love, and being one with everything includes that too, and extending that love to that. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to let it into our house and, pillage our kitchen, but we do, holding love for that, which seems so very, very different and separate from us. And that's really being in that love space when you can begin to love your enemies and begin to love the other and beginning to truly love. And again, you're still allowed discernment because you're allowed to love yourself too. Loving does not mean sacrificing yourself. And
Not at all.
that's learning what love really is part of it too, because so many of us, especially when in feminine form throughout our lifetimes, have really learned that love is sacrifice. Life is sacrifice. You are to be sacrificed. You're to sacrifice your life for the other, and it's very embedded in a lot of us.
Yeah.
So, got
Yeah.
to love ourselves.
Right. Right. That thought went right over my head again. Okay. Sacrifice. Yeah. That's
No,
a word that
sacrifice is no.
sacrifice should be just taken out
No.
of the language. Sacrifice, sacrifice. There's so many things that go with that in mind. Yeah. Self-sacrifice, a tough one to temper. It is because we went as a lot of people, even men too, but a lot of
Yeah,
women um, have been programmed to put everything else first, which is fine when it comes to children, that type of thing, raising children, uh, your spouse or whatever. But when you don't give yourself, it's all about balance, right? It's about balance. Everything's about balance.
yeah,
So as long as you balance that with taking care of yourself, taking care of ourselves, then then it's okay. Then we got it made because it's
Yeah.
about balance, and we know, and we don't feel exhausted and depleted of our energy because that'll zap us quicker than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Hmm.
Love the self, love you. Because when you love you, you love God too. And that's another thing that a lot of us forgot for a very long time. Because God is within, kingdom of heaven is within, God is within. God is within. And we have to love God everywhere. And that means here too. That means here too. When you love
Yeah.
yourself and you take care of yourself, you are loving God and you are taking care of God. And then God within you can flow out in a much more powerful way too. And that's something that we're relearning right now in this awakening as well. And that's for women and men. We have to learn to love ourselves, take care of ourselves, be kind, be honest with ourselves. Oh,
Right,
that's the
and have
hard
that
part.
conversation. That is being honest with ourselves, totally. And that's huge. Thank you, Michelle. And having that conversation with your higher self, with that part of you, that God self. And I always think, okay, so how would you handle this? I ask my higher self or Yeshua or God, whoever's listening, my higher parts of me, higher self, my spirit guides, my, you know, whoever's listening, in the higher planes. And
Call
you can
me and
tell.
it's all right here. What do you guys think?
I know, right? The heart. There we go. The
It's
heart.
all inside.
So that's what I asked. I said, how would you handle this? How I look through their eyes. We're all looking through our eyes, God's eyes at me and how I'm handling this experience, this reality, and what decision I'm making.
Yeah,
So how do you see me making this? How do you see me? It's always through love, definitely. But it helps me make decisions that I know are in alignment with my true self.
yeah,
There's no right or wrong. There's just what is in alignment.
yeah.
And if we make a decision that is maybe out of alignment of our true self, then it doesn't mean we need to be punished or anything like that. It just means
Mm.
that
We learn from it.
we learn from it. It's
Yeah.
yeah, totally, and realize okay, maybe I won't do that again next time. But
Yeah, right. Well, and the other thing too that's so important is to stop giving away your power to other things. You
right.
are the power, of all these things that you name, angels, guides, Jesus, whatever. It's all within. It's all God. It's all within. It's so important right now at this great awakening that we're not like, well, what would Jesus do kind of a thing. It's like, what would
Right.
Jesus do?
Right.
Right? It's a different way of approaching it. And it's so important. One of the most loving thing that we can do when we truly understand that God is everywhere. We understand that God is within and God is everything that we have outpictured that has been loving and wonderful. Even our own parents, even our past lives, even our future lives, it's all right here, present all the time.
Hmm.
And being in that state, you're in your most divine alignment, you're in your most powerful state. And when you go in and you say, what would Jesus do? You ask that from that inner wisdom, right, Sharon? Not like,
Yes.
oh, Jesus, what would you do? Come
No,
help me.
it's
It's like
inner.
it's that inner space that
Hmm.
is so beautiful and so powerful. And that's where big shifts happen too. When you realize that you already are all that. You already are all that. You
Right.
even already are the answer. You just need to let it bubble up.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
so cool.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's all inside of you.
It
You had
is.
it all along. What was
We
that? The end of Doodly Doo, The Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
You know,
right.
you had it all along,
Boy,
and
that
that's
makes
that
so much
message.
sense now, doesn't it?
Hmm.
The
There,
writer must have been tripping on mushrooms or acid or something, or he was deep in meditation. Who knows? But
there was a
just like Alice
spiritual.
in Wonderland.
There was a spiritual teacher one time that did like a workshop on or something of all the spiritual aspects of with the movie Wizard of Oz.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to do it. It was like 8 weeks long. It was a big deal. And I was never able to do it, but I'd heard from people that it was really profound.
Oh, I
Oh,
bet.
everything had meaning.
There's there's so much there. There's no place like home. There's no
Yeah.
place like home. There's no place like home. Yeah.
And Toto too. I love it. Elizabeth puts her little red shoes
The
on
red
there. I
shoes,
love it.
good stuff. Yeah.
Okay, my darlings, I gotta run because I have a spirit circle in 25 minutes.
Okay, plus you have a bed you gotta get into.
And I got a bed that I'm getting into directly after that. And I'm never coming out again.
Okay. All right. I might have to send the,
Firemen.
the National Guard out
No, no.
next week.
If you send anything, please share and send firemen because
But would a fireman?
they're
Okay,
the cutest.
anyone in uniform, right? Okay,
No, firemen, they're the
fireman.
cutest.
Alright,
Have you
okay.
not
You're
seen their calendar?
I I have, I have, yes.
And that's for all of YouTube land. If ever any of you need to send me anything.
Oh my god, that reminds me when I used to work in the corporate world. I worked for a manufacturing company in the office, and once a year, the firemen would come and inspect the suppression systems and things like that, and all that. So us
Yes.
girls would stand up on the balcony and watch, yeah, watch them going through the whole floor, watch them following them around, so they couldn't see us, but they probably knew we were doing that. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. We always looked forward to that time of year.
It was a good time of year. One time I actually had a manufacturing company too. We had fiberglass
Mm,
and we had the firemen around a lot. But it
mhm.
was funny. One time, I don't know what I was doing. I was outside doing something and coming into the office, and the fire trucks were just pulling up, doing an inspection. And I remember running into the office and going, "They're here! They're here!" And my partner, this time, she's like, "Who's here?" I went, "God, oh, the gods are here." And she started busting up. We went out, and they're getting their gear on. Oh my God,
The gods,
the
the fire
gods are
gods,
here.
the fire gods.
The
Okay.
fire. That would have been even better. Oh my God.
Alrighty.
All right, guys, I love
Alright, darling.
you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much, Sharon, for
Thank
being
you,
patient with
everyone.
me earlier. And
Oh, of course.
we love you guys. We'll see you next week. And what do we talk about next week? I don't even know if we've gotten that far.
I think we have another episode of love.
Yep. Being
So,
pure unconditional love.
mhm. Ooh,
Ooh.
we're gonna have some good stuff, I'm sure.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll see you next week. Keep if anybody's interested in Sharon's goddess retreat in October, make sure you get a hold of her because it's gonna
Yes.
get filled up quick.
Yes, and I do have
And
a
got the divination
free
class on Saturday.
you have a divination class, and tomorrow I have a out-of-body
Ooh.
experience in lucid dreaming, astral travel, free discussion, um, coming, tomorrow night on Zoom. So, if anyone's
Ooh.
interested in that discussion group, and I will be sharing how I was able to, achieve what I've been achieving through out-of-body experiences for the last 20 years, and I've journaled over 2,000
Nice.
so far, yeah,
It's be
yeah.
interesting. Where do people find out about that? Do you
Oh,
have
it's actually on my Meetup page. I have the link on there, my Meetup page, which is called
a connection on your website?
no, I don't have that one on my
What?
website. No, I don't usually put the free ones up there, but, it's not for it's, just in these tight circles. Uh,
Oh,
it's, go to my Meetup page, it's
it's secret.
called Psychic and Mediumship Development, Portland, Oregon. If you put that in, if you're not already on my Meetup page, you'll find it.
Yeah,
I
that's
can put the link
good.
in
Good, good,
afterwards.
good.
I can put the link in afterwards.
Yeah, yes, yeah, put it in the body. That way people can find it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. I had someone contact me today, and she's used my website over and over, and she's contacted me, and she's like, "How do I find classes on your website?" And I'm like, "Under Conscious Living Academy." And she's like, "Oh, I never thought about that."
Yeah, I put classes on my website for sure.
Yeah.
I put all that kind of stuff on there, and I put this up there and stuff, but this one I didn't put up. There's a lot of stuff. It's a lot. It's and I'm not complaining at all, but putting all this stuff up takes
Oh, yeah.
a lot of work, and so I'm going to share this right now in the comments. I
Good,
have it
good.
here.
Yeah, I spend a good 6 to 8 hours a week putting all my stuff out there and Restream and populating my calendar and doing all my posts, and it's getting kind of ridiculous.
It's a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah.
So I understand why people um, actually hire people to
Yeah.
do all this stuff.
Yeah. And I've hired people to do it and then it doesn't get done.
Well, that's not good. Okay. All
Or it
right.
does it first and then it doesn't. Okay, guys.
Wait, hold
Love
on. Let me put this in the comments real quick.
is
Hold on, hold
all
on.
there is. And if any of you can think of a song, go ahead and write it.
All right, it's in the
If
comments.
anything comes to mind, write the words down.
All
There
right.
you go.
That's a free deal right there.
Awesome.
All right. All right, darling.
Everybody clicked on that, and that'd be awesome. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sharon.
Love you guys.
Thank you, YouTube.
Love is all there is.
And
Love is
thank
all
you,
you need.
God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, my bed.
Okay.
And
And we're
we'll
out of
see you
here.
guys next week.
Okay.
Mwah. Stay
Bye bye.
sparkly.